The Walt Disney Company's theme parks, resorts and cruises have been devastated by COVID-19. Today Disney announced it is laying off 28,000 workers from its parks, experiences and products division. In a letter to employees, Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences and Products, writes, "We initially hoped that this situation would be short-lived, and that we would recover quickly and return to normal. 7 months later, we find that has not been the case. And, as a result, today we are now forced to reduce the size of our team across executive, salaried and hourly roles. Of the 28,000 employees affected, 67% are part-time. Since April, Disney covered healthcare costs of furloughed employees." D'Amaro says Disney is talking with impacted employees as well as to the unions on next steps. D'Amaro calls the decision heartbreaking, but the only feasible option due to the continued uncertainty regarding the duration of the pandemic. Disneyland Paris, Hong Kong Disneyland, Shanghai Disney and Disney World in Florida are open, with safety protocols in place. Disneyland in Anaheim remains closed. In August, the Walt Disney Company reported a loss of $4.7 billion in its third quarter. Disney leads companies announcing layoffs. Big airline job cuts loom. A number of job cuts have been announced in the last 24 hours as companies grapple with the ongoing impact of the coronavirus pandemic. On Tuesday, Disney said it will lay off 28,000 employees across its parks, experiences and consumer products divisions amid prolonged closures at its California-based theme parks as well as limited attendance. According to a statement, 67% of the laid-off workers were part-time. Materials science company Dow said Wednesday that it plans to reduce its global workforce costs by approximately 6%, but did not indicate the number of jobs that will be eliminated. The company said it will take a current quarter charge of $500 million to $600 million in connection with a restructuring, which will include severance and related benefit costs, among other things. The energy sector has been among the hardest hit by the pandemic as a near standstill in global travel, as well as implementation of work-from-home policies led to a drop-off in demand for oil products. With crude prices staying lower for longer, a number of companies have already gone bankrupt. The ones left standing have been implementing widespread cost-cutting measures. Royal Dutch Shell said Wednesday that it plans to cut between 7,000 and 9,000 jobs by the end of 2022. The company said that about 1,500 people have agreed to take voluntary cuts this year. Meanwhile, U.S. refiner Marathon Petroleum reportedly began another round of job cuts on Tuesday, according to Reuters. The airline industry has also been among the hardest hit, and big job cut announcements could come as soon as Thursday. Barring additional federal aid, U.S. airlines are on the verge of shedding more than 30,000 jobs. The terms of $25 billion in federal payroll support that bars job cuts through September 30th expires Wednesday night, meaning furloughs could start Thursday. Airlines are clamoring for additional aid from lawmakers to preserve jobs through March 31st, a proposal that has won bipartisan support in Congress and from the Trump administration, but there isn't yet a deal on a national coronavirus relief package that could include the assistance. United Airlines and American Airlines make up the lion's share of the planned 30,000 cuts. The staff reductions could have been deeper, but tens of thousands of workers across the industry volunteered for buyouts and leaves of absence, which have helped reduce costs. In the U.S., the employment picture has been improving since a record 20.5 million jobs were lost in April amid the coronavirus-induced economic shutdown. In August, non-farm payrolls increased by 1.37 million and the unemployment rate tumbled to 8.4%. On Wednesday, an ADP survey showed a gain of 749,000 jobs for private payrolls in September, which was ahead of the 600,000 expected by Dow Jones. However, while jobs have started to return, unemployment levels remain elevated compared with historical standards. And these latest job cut announcements point to the ongoing and long-lasting consequences of the pandemic. What Disney's mass layoffs mean for the entertainment giant going forward. Governor Newsom has been reluctant to give any guidance for theme park reopenings during the ongoing pandemic. Disneyland The city of Anaheim, and over a dozen state legislators, have called on the governor to give any type of update or set of rules so theme parks around California could partially reopen and resume regular operations. They continue to mention that theme parks in other states have not been linked to any major outbreaks of coronavirus. In a statement, Josh DeMero, chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences and Products, said in part the layoffs have been exacerbated in California by the state's unwillingness to lift restrictions that would allow Disneyland to reopen. Earlier in September, Newsom said theme park reopening guidelines would be coming very shortly, and as of publication still have not been released. In April, the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida, which has more than 70,000 employees, furloughed 43,000 of them. Disney continues to pay furloughed employees health benefits. The Walt Disney World Resort reopened in July, and while some employees were called back to work, Disney did let others know in August that furloughs were going to be extended. Still, with more hotels and theme park offerings opening, Disney is continuing to call back select employees that are needed on a case-by-case basis, including recreation staff for hotels that were being used by the NBA for the NBA bubble. While Walt Disney World can operate in a bubble, Disneyland cannot. The reliance on the city of Anaheim for people to stay at nearby hotels and dine at off-site restaurants is crucial to bringing visitors back to Walt Disney's original park. Tourism is one of the biggest sources of income for the people who call Anaheim home. Without the Disneyland resort being allowed to open its theme parks or hotels, locals are struggling to make a living, even if they don't work directly for Disney. Mike Lister, the Anaheim Chief Communications Officer, said, "The city of Anaheim is looking at a $100 million budget deficit that will be felt by people throughout our city. Unemployment in the city is at 15%, which is higher than it was during the Great Recession at 12%. At the start of the pandemic and Disney theme park closures, Disney executives took a drastic cut in pay." In a March 30th memo, Disney CEO Bob Chapek said, "Effective April 5th, all VPs will have their salaries reduced by 20%, SVPs by 25%, and EVPs and above by 30%. Chapek took a 50% reduction, and Bob Iger, executive chairman, gave up 100% of his salary. When this memo was issued, there was no end date set. In August, executives were alerted that their pre-COVID pay would resume.